First of all, I would like to say thank you for accepting my invitation. It's a pleasure to me, and actually, it's an honor have you here. And I would like, first of all, I would like to start with one question. How you beginning? How your first contact with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Fab. So first of all, like my pleasure to be here with you. Right, another opportunity to share my story in jiu-jitsu, and I appreciate that opportunity. And everything started when I began jiu-jitsu when I was 10 years old, but everything started when I was 8. Watching the Olympic Games, I watched Aurelio Miguel winning the first gold for Brazil in judo, and then my goal became be a judo Olympic champion. However, my neighborhood didn't have any judo schools. So after like almost 2 years begging my mom for to train in judo, I have two cousins, André and Fernanda. They were doing jiu-jitsu already with Master Neuri Gomes. And then my uncle Luis talked to my mom, like, Olianda, like, jiu-jitsu and judo are pretty similar. I think the kids gonna love that, so let the kids try. And then she went to the place with my brother and I, and then we signed up right away. So that's when I start back in May of 1990. So 31 years ago.
All right, so it's 31, 30, more than 30 years in
Yeah, 31 years of jiu-jitsu.
My second question is about this. What does mean Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to you?
Um, it's my life. It's my life, right? Just to make it like I don't call Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know, especially nowadays where people like, oh, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, American Jiu-Jitsu, and then people go MMA Jiu-Jitsu, no gi Jiu-Jitsu, and then for me everything is Jiu-Jitsu. When I start training, we just call Jiu-Jitsu. I grew up in Brazil calling Jiu-Jitsu. I understand that the branding part in America, uh, but for me, like, regardless of this, and my school calls Bastos Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but like speaking to my students, I always say Jiu-Jitsu. But anyways, like for me, it's a way of life. It's a way of life, because everything that has happened to my life since I started Jiu-Jitsu comes through Jiu-Jitsu. So everything that I have achieved, friendships, my family, like wife, like everything, like, so my best friends, um some friends that I call brothers, so like everything comes to jiu-jitsu. And just one of the reasons that I say that it is beyond jiu-jitsu.
All right, so it's everything to you.
Yeah, but it is, I am jiu-jitsu. That's what I tell my students.
So what do you think when you hear someone say now about the American Jiu-Jitsu? What are your opinion about that?
uh there's two ways of thinking, right? So some people, they just branding, which I understand. Like, you're gonna call like Kidman Cornelius School Legends American Jiu-Jitsu. Cool, no problem. Like my school is Bastos Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. No problem. Like you can call Fábio Abreu Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like, no problem, right? Uh, I think the problem is part of the media that pushes like dividing American and Brazil, and some of the competitors, Brazilians, and because not only Americans, some Brazilian competitors as well, and or coaches that fall on that trap, and then jiu-jitsu is something that unites everyone, and people try to create a reason to divide people in an era that we are divided for everything: political views, religion, like whatever it is, right? And then when it comes to jiu-jitsu, you're gonna have on a mat, black, white, Asian, like whatever it is, you're gonna have atheists, you're gonna have Catholics, you're gonna have Christians, like uh, everything, and like doctors, attorneys, everything, right? And then so jiu-jitsu unites that, like men, women, gays, like jiu-jitsu unite that. And I just hope that the ones that are using that to try divide don't succeed on that. My job as a sensei, as a mentor, coach, competitor, everything is to make sure that I spread juice in the right way, and that's what I'm gonna keep fighting for.
All right. So yeah, some say they use that like for the business for.
Yes, like I said, that's why I said that the branding part. Like I understand that, no problem, no problem at all. Like I can call like like my school could be like Bruno Bastos Jiu-Jitsu. So it's not Brazilian, it's not American, it's not like oh, it's the Bruno Bastos style of Jiu-Jitsu, you know, and like would be my name. So like when it's come to branding, like that, like nobody can say anything. I just don't agree with the idea of separating styles because it is not right. End of the day, we all came from judo, right? There
Yes.
was a part of judo. Of course, judo comes from jiu-jitsu, right? But then we're gonna go in like in way like order part. So just to keep simple, I just like keep doing my work. No problem who brand the art. Just I just hope the ones that are using that to divide people do not succeed on that.
All right. So back in the days when we started, uh, how they call it when we started, it was Gracie Jiu-Jitsu or just only Jiu-Jitsu
Only jiu-jitsu. Gracie jiu-jitsu began in America. Um,
and
I
80s?
can don't quote me on that because I can be missing things, and then I was just a kid. But I remember Holly Gracie, you having the rights to use the name Gracie Jiu Jitsu, and
What
that's when people start using Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. You
oh,
know,
was that time?
yes, yeah. So like on the 90s when people start going to America, some of the Gracie start to go to America. Horion Gracie was there already, and then people start like Gracie Jiu Jitsu because in the UFC they were calling Gracie Jiu Jitsu, but Horion have the naming rights, and then he starts sue people, and then people who don't have problems start like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Like including like that's including like big names, some of like Grace family members, and then or the big names like Machado Brothers and etc. You know, so um, but end of the day, again, it's all jiu-jitsu, you know, and I don't gonna judge who was right or who was wrong because that's not my job. I'm just glad that uh, today we have that opportunity to jiu-jitsu because of the people who paved the way, like back in the day.
All right. So you started in the side of the Jiu-Jitsu. All right. So let's call only Jiu-Jitsu in
Hmm.
Brazil with someone who doesn't came of a member of Grace family. All right,
Hmm.
you came the other side,
Exactly.
the father team. All right,
Hmm.
so
Yes, and then I was able to meet Grandmaster father is still alive. I was just a teenager, young adult, and his grandson, Renan Fara, actually is one of my black belts.
oh really?
Yeah, he trained with Leo Santos for a while. That's when I met him, and then Leo moved away from Rio de Janeiro. Then Renan became my student, and then went all the way blue to black belt. And nowadays he's a second degree black belt. He has their father, their academia father, still in Rio de Janeiro, doing a great job there. Even though he's my black belt and my student, I when I go there, I train with him and everything, teach the seminars on his school, but he doesn't represent my association, that's Lead BJJ. So he represents just his family name. Um, and like for is it is always interesting. People always mention to me like the fact that I don't come from a Gracie lineage. Um, and nowadays people like studying history and then have some facts about like father maybe have trained with the Gracies at some point. Um, but anyways, like for me, like regardless of like what people wanna say is like it is jiu-jitsu, right? So Gracie, father, like
Does it matter?
is always jiu-jitsu. Yeah, doesn't matter. For me, like really, I'm grateful to have met Grandmaster Father alive. Grateful to have met Grandmaster Elio Gracie. Have witnessed him receiving awards from BJF back when was still at Tijuca Tennis Club in Rio de Janeiro. Like be able to have met and interact with like Master Rickson Gracie. That's an idol for me. Be able to have met, interact, and have a class with Master Royce Gracie. Like so, like those experiences, like I have met, interacted, have a class with Grandmaster Carson Gracie. So, man, those things are things that for me are priceless. So, like I'm talking about people that wrote the history, and because of those guys, the father, the Gracies, and that we are here talking. That's because of them.
Yes,
So,
that's right.
like, put who is more important, who is less important, then their lineage, yeah, is I'm here to unite people, not to separate people.
Not to divide it. You live in an
Yes,
area, like you said before, and the world is divided for many
exactly.
reasons. So
Hmm.
uh, let's say when you start there that time back in the times and today, what what difference do you see in that jiu-jitsu when you started and now in this jiu-jitsu, like the new generation of the new style of jiu-jitsu? Can you see some points
Uh,
specific that change too much?
it's funny, like I remember when I started in 1990, uh, self-defense was big, right? Because the sport we didn't have like many. We did compete a lot. We didn't have like many competitions, right? There was no IBGF, like there was no nothing, right? So I compete a lot of local tournaments back then, but and I remember that the rules were different. Like today, we have way more rules. Like back then, like as a kid, I remember being a yellow belt and going for a foot lock, ripping the knee, no problem, belly down, rolling for like nowadays wrong side, right? And then winning matches or like people trying to do that to me, and then like there was no problem.
It's
We
very
could
different.
do like no, very like especially for the kids, like we could do omoplata, Ezekiel, put a head on the triangle, jump guard, like no problem. I understand like safety is needed on the sport. Um, if it was up to me, some of the techniques that they not allow, I would allow for kids because end of the day, um, the techniques that they don't allow, I don't see many of them. I don't see the danger. Having done physical education and studying anatomy, biomechanics, and everything, like I don't see the danger. That they see, but it's not up to me. Also, on the standpoint of self-defense, all right, because if like I have two kids, João Lucas and Maria Clara, right, and I don't want a kid try to bully them in the school, and then maybe they can try to take them down. And now the kids approach to take them down, and now they have to think. oh, can I do a guillotine? Cannot do a guillotine. You know, like so on my kids class I teach jiu-jitsu. I teach everything. And then when gets close to our tournament that the student's gonna compete, and then like we work on the rules of the tournament, right? Same goes for the adults. Like so, you're gonna on my school, you're gonna see purple belts like training no gi, doing heel hooks, invert heel hooks. You're gonna see they doing knee bars, everything. The blue belts, depend on the level to the blue belt, they already can start working on those. White belts, of course, not because they don't have idea of how their body works. So like a lot of times we're gonna sign up for jiu-jitsu, they don't even know how to do a front row, right? Like it's just they have been years without doing anything in their lives, and then they want to get in shape. So our job is like to prepare their body to then at some point like learn jiu-jitsu. Like but like I like to teach everything. Like every time that somebody asks me about the rules, I'm always in favor of like being everything possible. I think nowadays, like with the growth of the competitions, the jiu-jitsu evolve a lot. So the jiu-jitsu is much better nowadays than it was back in the day. Like the possibilities, everything. So you don't gonna see in myself a guy that gonna say like the old school guy where I gonna say that no, good was back in my time. No, no. If I have one thing that Fabio Gurgel says that is very true. If you pick 1996 world champions against 2019, that was the last World Championships that happened from the pandemic, right? So if you get 1996 world champions versus 2019 world champions, every 2019 world champion would submit the 1996. It's just because the jiu-jitsu is better, the athletes are better, the training methods are better, strength and conditioning, supplements, like everything, physical therapy, like everything is better. So if if the sport doesn't evolve, and then 10 years from now, we do another interview, and I tell that 2021 is better than 2031, then I didn't do my part on developing jiu-jitsu, and people didn't do their part on developing jiu-jitsu. So who is coming new, like, gonna have more techniques, gonna have more knowledge, and that's good. So, like, I'm a fifth degree black belt, but I train with guys that they start jiu-jitsu. I was a black belt already. And then, like, I bring a lot of people in my school, like Muhammad Ali, Manor Bama, like Ali Spons, like Nachieli, like BMC, like, and a lot of times, what I do, and like, no problem. I just want to keep learning. I'm teaching, but part of the process is like always be learning as well.
That's right, sir.
I don't wanna hide. I'm not also the guy that's gonna be hiding on my competition results.
So you talk about your kids. How old are they?
João Lucas is 7 right now. He's gonna turn 8 in August, and then Maria is 5. She's gonna turn 6 in December.
They already compete.
Yes, they do. They do, and then like I'm very happy and proud of the fact that they do jiu-jitsu and they compete jiu-jitsu without me or my wife pushing them. My wife and I were on the school all the time, so we have no babysitters, no nothing. So like that's I my my view is that's how they started so young because they were there on the match since they were like 10 days old.
Yeah.
So as soon as the doctor said that they could interact with people, boom, they're on the match. So they were 10 days old, 15 days old, they were on the match. And then when they're like both around the age of 3, like they're 3, 3.5, having friends there, they would play with all the kids there, and then they would play with the kids, and the kids would step on the mat to train. So they end up asking to train, you know. And that's how they start jiu-jitsu. And then when it comes to competition, it's the same thing. Like they see the kids like going to compete, and then I never ask them if they wanna, because it is, even though they are very young, there is already like, oh, João Lucas, oh, mini Bruno, little Bruno, future world champion, future black belt, like, which I don't like, but I cannot stop people from doing those things. Or go Maria, like, oh, gonna be like her mom, or gonna be like her dad, or so I understand that that's part of the deal. But like they are the ones that ask if they see competition they're gonna have, and then when they ask, I never say no as well because I believe competition is a huge tool to personal growth. And of course I want them to experience that. So, anyways, they start jiu-jitsu because they ask it. They compete every time they ask it. When have something that I know that's big and would be a good experience for them, I tell them like, hey, uh, Papa gonna take kids on this tournament because it's a good experience. See if you guys would like to do that, and that's all I say because I don't even teach them like much. My son teach more, my daughter not much. But they have like my coaching staff. They are the ones that teaching them more. Of course, I always put my hand and then like I'm gonna tell like, hey, no, don't do this or this way is better. Like looking for this. And my son, he reminds me a lot on the sense of being like coachable, like listening. My daughter, she is very natural, but she's daddy's girl, right? So everything that she does, if I'm around, she's like try to see if I'm looking her. So with her, I have never coached her in a tournament. My wife does that. They have a great connection. So even though my wife doesn't teach the kids class, uh, she has a great connection with my daughter, and then she's the one that coach in tournaments. And I coach my son. My wife coaches him, have coached him sometimes as well. But that's it. Like that's how they start. That's how they doing now. Like I'm here in Bulgaria now talking to you. They going to judo classes where my wife
Mm.
starts.
I saw some pictures.
Yeah, so they are going there. They enjoy it. They really love that. So that's one thing that I'm really happy and proud because it's not something that they doing. Of course, they doing because my wife and I do that because I do that. That's our lives. But they doing because they wanna. And they have other things that they love. My son loves baseball. My daughter start asking for soccer now, so
Oh,
they can
really?
do their thing. Yes, they can do their things, because then that's like it's not dad and mama's stuff. That's their stuff.
Oh, they live in America, and in America, the women's is best on soccer, no?
Yeah, the USA soccer female team
Yes,
is the most successful team in the history, and you see, like I don't know, like my son he says that he's gonna be like baseball professional player. I don't know.
it would be
When I
nice.
was a kid, I was saying that I was going to be soccer player, and now we talk about jiu-jitsu here.
Yes, you have so many sports, so many options in America. It's
That's true. That's true.
all right. So,
So they do whatever they like.
and you're gonna support day, and you're
Of
gonna.
course. And
All right,
jiu-jitsu going to be part of it no matter what.
that's nice, man. And Mr. Bruno, you talk about your wife. How you meet each other, you and your wife?
So that was like literally on the match back in 2012. Since 2009, I have been coming to Bulgaria, working with a former MMA fighter, former UFC fighter Stanislav Nedkov. Still have connection with him until nowadays. So to come here to almost all his fights to do, depending on who he was going to fight, I would be the head coach. If it was more like a jiu-jitsu guy, if it was like a striking guy, whatever, and then I would be just the jiu-jitsu part of the camp.
Mhm.
But anyways, that's why I would come here a lot. And then 2012, the time that I came here, his name was already very big in Bulgaria, so they would close the gym a lot of times for him to train, to be like private sessions, to people don't bother like pictures or whatever. And then, but she has a big name in Bulgarian judo. She is a former judo cadet world champion, and sambo junior world champion as well. So she was the only one allowed to be on the gym working at the same time. She was teaching judo classes for kids. So walking in to work with him, and then she was getting ready. I remember she was on her knees with the gi on, tying her belt. And then I saw her, I introduced myself, and the rest is history. I throw the Brazilian charm.
Oh yeah. And
Not
was
Brazilian,
love?
carioca charm.
Yes, yes,
Carioca charm.
yeah. It's different. So was love in the first sight?
Yeah, even though she doesn't believe. But I tell her, hey, you don't believe, but you flew all the way to Bulgaria to Midland, Texas, and now you're with me. Because we met August. No, we met October 2012.
Also, yeah.
We date 2 times, and then because it was my last days in Bulgaria, and then like I flew back to United States. We keep in touch through internet, and then she flew to United States December of 2012, and then she arrived December 12th of 2012. So 12, 12, 12, uh,
Was a
which
special
is
year.
the birthday of my daughter, December 12th, right? And then so we met October. She flew to United States December. April of 2013, we were getting married.
Oh,
So yes,
was fast.
and we don't play. We don't play
You don't know.
here. Like, life is a competition. We
Yes.
play to win.
You know what? It's almost like I did because my wife is from here, from Argentina, and
Mm-hmm.
we met in the summer in Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
and 6 months later we married.
See,
And we have 2 kids now.
so like similar story.
Yes, and she used to say to me, "You Brazilian are so fast and so you're very straight. You're safe." All right,
Yeah, I think I
that's
think
my life.
I think when it comes to relationship, and not only like not only like in love, but anything, friendship, business, you can feel when it's right, when it's the thing to do. So some people, they're gonna be insecure, and then they're gonna take forever to make a decision, and that's part of their personality. So doesn't matter if it's a relationship with a person, doesn't matter if it's a friendship, doesn't matter if it's a job, doesn't matter if it's to open a company, like doesn't matter what it is. People gonna have a hard time to make a choice. I have always been a person that don't like to be like waiting. Like I like to get things done. But to, like, of course, when it comes to relationship, like I just felt right. I just felt like
Look at
we
her and
date, and
said,
then
"Man, woman, you're gonna be my wife."
yeah, like she came when she came to the United States. Like we didn't know if it was going to work out, but after a couple of months, I already knew. So
You
I asked her to
you fall
stay.
in love and
Yeah, I
start in
asked her to
life.
stay. I made the I proposed her on the mats. I met her on the mats. I proposed her on the mats. We didn't get married on the mats, but
Wasn't possible. All right, so back on jiu-jitsu now. As
hmm
let's take your personal life from here.
hmm
And you talk about self-defense,
hmm
and Elio Gracie used to talk about self-defense, and they used to say that jiu-jitsu was very different that the jiu-jitsu he created. And
hmm
today you go into the gym, and you don't see people teach self-defense anymore. You see people starting jiu-jitsu on the knee, and
hmm
the most of
Not on my
the
school.
all right, your school is very different. But you don't see people anymore teaching self-defense, that part of jiu-jitsu. Um, all right, in your school you teach, but what do you think about that? You don't feel like they 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 let some part of jiu-jitsu die?
I think first, Fabio, have to see what's the goal of the school, right? Some schools, like the Valente brothers, like in Florida, they are all about like self-defense, and you're gonna have schools like that are all about competition. So for me, I'm all about jiu-jitsu. So it's not self-defense, it's not competition. I like it's jiu-jitsu.
It's
So
jiu-jitsu. It's
on
part
my
of.
classes, yeah, on my classes, like in a lot of situations that I'm teaching the technique, I explain to them like how in a real life they would be using the technique, and that's my way to insert the self-defense aspect, because end of the day, like people like, oh, like you don't train self-defense, you cannot defend yourself. All right, so get a guy to try go rob like Meow, for example, and tell me what's gonna happen with the guy.
Yes, it's I know that someone just practice this jiu-jitsu fighter, doesn't matter, it's on a competition, it doesn't practice
Mhm.
self-defense, but I know he's gonna able to defend himself. All right,
Mhm.
so I'm talking about keep this part alive in the schools.
No, I understand. I understand. Like I think, I like I know that some schools that's part of the curriculum. You know, um, for me, it's something that I don't like to teach separate because I like to incorporate everything. Man, I have had like multiple MMA fighters that have worked with me. All of them have trained in a gi, because like if you come to learn jiu-jitsu, you're gonna learn jiu-jitsu. you know um of course, like the specific part, there are no gi, gloves, and all this, right? But they're there to learn jiu-jitsu. So I like to incorporate everything, uh and then people gonna have their own way of working with things. The ones that are they're only focus on competition, I don't think it's nothing wrong. It's just their way to see business. We are in a competitive world, so people will like competition uh, more or less. Like, and I think that's why the competitive part of jiu-jitsu is bigger than like self-defense itself. But like you get like a school like mine, uh, now we have like over 350 students, right? And then like, but of those, let's put 350 to be like a exactly number. Um, how many of those compete? Like, because like, and I have like a bigger, strong competition team, but I would say that like is less than 20% of the students.
It's
They
very
do
more
well in
important.
competition. Yeah, like uh, I like to teach everything because as much as important than it is for me to claim that I produce world champions like in every belt level, as just as important it is for me to claim that, because that shows that the system works, right? But it's just as important as well is the woman that has come from a abusive relationship, um, or the guy or girl that is overweight, or the kids that are suffering bullying and or cannot communicate well with people, or autistic kids, like kids that have autism, and like, and then or veterans or police officers, first responders that suffer from PTSD, and then like make their lives better, having them like thanking us, like me and then the coaching staff for being on their lives, how their lives have changed for the better. For me, that's like it's just as important or even more important than the world titles that the older students win. So I don't like to measure what's more important because that's the students' lives, right? One thing that I can tell for sure, the students that win world championships or the students that just improve on their lives, those are my real world championships. More important than any gold medal that I have won. Doesn't matter if it's martial worlds, no worlds, like that doesn't matter, right? Um, so and because that's my job. My job is to serve. Uh, I I truly believe that's what leaders do. Like they don't tell people what they have to do. Like they show people how to do things, and that's how I serve them.
All right, man. I like that. I like that. You
Hmm.
said something that about you about the self-defense, about how you teach jiu-jitsu and how you show your student that how he can use that part in a real life. So you unite it like you said before. That's a great vision, and I think that your students it's very comfortable to train
Hmm.
with you and proud of because you are a guy that compete a lot in jiu-jitsu
Hmm.
and that's my next question. When you gonna stop to compete? Have you think about that?
No, I don't know. Like now, like, I haven't competed since past December. It's the first time in my life that I take this break. Lot of things going on. The school growing, the association growing, a lot of opportunities, traveling a lot for seminars. Even during this pandemic, like traveling overseas, like I'm in Bulgaria now, I was in Mexico, I was in Ecuador. So, and I think I'm in different phase of my life. However, jiu-jitsu is part, the competition is part of who I am. So I know that I'm gonna be competing this year. I already made a registration for tournaments. Um, as long as I am healthy, like my body and mind, I'll keep competing because that keeps me alive. That's the only way that I can describe that. Like that keeps me updated with techniques. That pushes me to train with the younger generation, to keep learning. Uh, I have a friend that said that my comfort zone is competition, and I think like couldn't have said it better. You know, is like I go there, I see people like they have hard time to perform in competition, get nervous, anxiety, all this, and man, I really enjoy all the process. But that's now as well, right? To like I start 1990, my third day in jiu-jitsu was competing, my third day ever. So I had two classes and went to a competition, and I haven't stopped since. I was always competitive in everything that I did. Um, I love to win. I hate to lose, but I understand that's part of the process. When I was younger, it wasn't this way. I struggle a lot with the losing part when I was younger. But as I got more mature and then studying, especially the mental part, I started to understand things better, start evolving, grow as a person. Went more to the coaching side as well because that's when I started like teach more, moved to United States, and that made difference as well. So, anyways, like now I'm in a different phase of my life, so I don't see myself competing all the time like you would see like on the past. But I see myself competing every year as long as I'm healthy. I think it is amazing that I get to share that with my kids, for example. My kid, like João Lucas, he won Pan Kids last year, and I won Marshall Roads. and then maybe 15 years from now he'll not do jiu-jitsu anymore. Maybe he's gonna be graduating college for something, and then have another job, or he become professional athlete like baseball, like he says now. But like forever we're gonna be able to say that 2020 we both were the best in the world in our divisions. Like how many like father and son can say that, or mother and son, or father and daughter, or mother and daughter. you know so we're gonna have that forever. Like they're gonna compete punk kids, like now Maria Clara gonna be first time. He's going to punk kids again, gonna be his third time. I'm already signed up for uh two tournaments already as well, that are major tournaments. um I have to decide how I'm gonna do it, because they are very close to each other, so I'm gonna have to pick one. But man, for me, it's like amazing to be able to share that with them. My wife, she hasn't competed and since 2019, because that's when like we really pushed it. Like that's when we opened our school. We always work with somebody, and then we were able to open our own school, like no business partners, no nothing. November 2019, and she's the brain on the school. you
Yes,
know
dedicated that to the business of the family.
yeah, so she takes care of all their part. Sometimes she gets like more like, I know that she's gonna compete at some point, because that's who she is as well. She started judo when she was 9, competing in like high level, won world championships. She won pens as a purple and as a brown belt in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I know that she's gonna compete at some point. It's just a matter of timing. Like again, like when I say that I'm in different phases of my life, she's in different phase of her life as well. So, anyways, like you asked me when I'm gonna stop, I don't see myself. So, like one of my dreams, because I'm gonna be 51 when I get my coral belt, right? So one of my dreams, that became a goal of mine since I watched Master Julio Cesar from GFT. When I saw the video of him competing in Brazil with his coral belt, man, that was so cool. Like so much respect, because like that you can lose for any person, and you still put yourself out there in front of your students, all your fans, all your haters, and like of course it was even better that he won. But I think just the showing, like of course that he had, and then became a goal of mine, like, and God willing, I'm gonna make 51 healthy, gonna get my coral belt. I'm 41 now, so we are 10 years.
And yes,
In
you
10 years,
are you now with your 5 degrees.
yes, I'm fifth degree black belt now. I have 20 years as a black belt. It's a long time.
So
I got my black belt January of 2001.
2001. Wow,
Yes,
it's a
a long,
lifetime.
long time ago.
It's a lifetime. So with this, I think we done here. It's all
Mhm.
right. So I'm grateful. Thank you for being here tonight with me. It was very I feel very honored to talk to you, sir. I hope
Of course, Fabio.
I ask you leave a message for who those to see you right now and maybe does it know nothing about jiu-jitsu and does it know about what jiu-jitsu can change in their life. So I would like that you finish this interview with a message for those people.
Um, so there is a saying, like a quote, that quote, like people like always say that this is for everyone, right? Which I don't agree. I think everyone should try jiu-jitsu, right? And like just give it a try, because that may can change your life forever. And it's like I say on my team, like live every day to achieve your dreams. That's it.
That's it. Thank you, sir, and we see you.